Elder Abuse Task Force. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you could join us for Public Health and You. You can tell I'm all involved with a conversation about a very important subject. I'll explain why I'm wearing this bracelet, but it says here, Ride and Steal Bikers Against Bullying. That gives you a clue that although we were having a light conversation, the subject is very heavy and very important and something that you need to know about because this is Public Health and You. Public Health and You is brought to you as a public service by Bath Community Television, BCTV 14, whom we always thank for their great support, much appreciated. It's sponsored by the Saginaw County Board of Health. I'm Hugh Tilson, your Saginaw County Health Officer. I staff this remarkable group of community volunteers who work together to create the situation in which people can be just as healthy as they can be in our community. It's so important that the Saginaw County Commissioners, you see their official seal back there, sponsor the Board of Health. It's an official county board. You're welcome to come. All of our meetings are on the record, documented on the record in accordance with the Public Records Act, and open to you. Thank you so much for caring enough about public health and promoting the health of the people in the community whom you care about and love so that you watch this show. We get great feedback about other things you want us to talk about. Our questions about this show, please keep them coming because that's the way we make the show useful to you. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that is really important to everybody. I don't care whether you think you know somebody who is being bullied, you do. You do. We have a real problem in our community, and we must talk about it as a health problem and a social problem and an educational problem because, as you know, I've said before in this show, public health is about all of us working together across the sector to create these conditions. So let's just meet our guests with whom I was having a great conversation. Thank you so much. Let's start with you.
My name is Sherry Bourgoin.
Hi, Sherry. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm from Windsor, Maine. I am a child care provider. I run a daycare out of my home. So bullying is a huge issue.
Even in daycare?
Even in daycare, they start young.
We're going to come back to that and just who they are and how you find out about them and what you do. But before, let's just get to know our panel better. Todd?
I'm Todd Sanders. I've been in education for 22 years. Currently serving as middle school principal in Gardner, Maine. Before that, I had 4 years of assistant principal service in Rockland. So I've taught K to 12, so I've seen all sorts of levels of student development, as Sherry said. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Well, particularly talking about how the schools can help,
Yep.
And or if the schools do it wrong, how the schools can make it worse.
Yep.
So let's get back to that after we had a chance to meet with you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Betty Reynolds, and
Hi, Betty.
I'm Web and Marketing Design at Big Moose Harley Davidson, co-owner, and this is out of Portland, Maine.
Right. People, I think, probably got the message. Bikers might have a common theme here since we're talking about riding steel bikers against bullying. But let's start not with that, but with the problem. Let's just be sure that there isn't a person watching this show who doesn't know and doesn't own this problem. What's the scope? How does it present? Just what are we trying to do here?
I think we're trying to bring about the public awareness as to getting back to the basics, treating people with dignity and respect, and teaching our children at a young age that bullying is not okay. But the first thing we have to do is teach them what is bullying.
Sure. Do we think it's common? Do we know it's common? What do we know about bullying?
What do we know about bullying? We know that it's an epidemic. It's been going on forever. But nowadays it's worse because of the internet, your social media, the websites, Facebook, text messaging. You know, when I was in school, I didn't have a cell phone, so it stopped. When I walked through my house and through my door, the bullying stopped until tomorrow.
But it didn't stop during the day, did it?
Not
Even
during
then.
the day. Not during the day.
Yeah, it's not new, but we're becoming a whole lot more aware of it, and we're becoming aware of some of the consequences of bullying.
We are.
It's bad enough that people don't treat each other with respect. Clearly, that's got to change. But there are some long-term consequences of being bullied.
There really are some long-term consequences, Hugh, because a person who is nailed every single day with disrespect and hate and just targeted for being different, that really does weigh upon a person's self-esteem and self-worth. Eventually, they start believing what they're being told.
And some of it's obvious, right, Todd? I mean, if you come home from school beat up and bruised, then you know that there was a fight.
Oh, yeah.
But bullying isn't just about playground fights.
No, actually, the playground fights and the physical, the stuff that you can see, the visual evidence is easiest to deal with in many cases. I want to piggyback on what you said just a few minutes ago. Not only is the lasting implications for the child that's being bullied, but the bully, if it's not addressed, if they're not educated, will carry those behaviors on with them through their school years into adult life. And continue those behaviors. And you mentioned Facebook. I think we've all seen from adults that those behaviors tend to continue. So, and I know you've had other stories about the impact of that. So
we have. Bullying continues through life, even into the elder. We've done several shows on elder abuse. It's a tragedy in our community, but it starts, of course, with lessons learned in childhood.
Without a doubt.
Or lessons learned wrong and never fixed. Correct. Or maybe even more important, lessons that you don't have to fix in the first place because you can get it right.
Yep.
So we're going to come back to that. Now, the program here is about bikers against bullying. And that's a really important theme here. Can we just sort of talk about who are bikers? I mean, sometimes they get a bad rap too. Yet here's a group of bikers that are organized to do really good things really well. Let's talk about.
I'm going to jump in on
Ride
that
and
one,
Steel.
if I don't mind.
All right, so
Steel.
you can start, but I'm darned if I'm going to let you end with this one.
No, you won't. I became familiar with Riding Steel about I've known of Steve and the work that he does, and I was drawn to them. Steve
Morais. Would you state his name, please?
Steve Morais. Behind the cameras today.
Isn't he our producer?
He is. I'm
BCTV
sure he's Mr. Does Everything.
What a
here.
great guy, and he's the reason these shows keep on going. You know?
And
so, thank you, Steve.
I think this is just a natural offshoot of what I've seen hosting that show and being part of it for the last 3 seasons. Is that bikers are very concerned people. They're very caring people, and they're willing to step up when they see people in need of support. And I think it's just a valid offshoot from what I've seen. So I think that it's not a surprise to me that the biking community would come rally around a topic such as this.
Want to talk to us? Maybe Betty, you want to start? How did Bikers Against Bullying get pulled together?
Basically, again, it was Steve Morais. I think it all started with a girl who was being bullied in school, and she came to Steve and said that we should have a Bikers Against Bullying club or organization. And Steve, thought about that, and that's pretty much how we took off with it. I think it was just one of those things where you know when someone comes to you with an issue that you can't ignore it. And basically that's how I started really getting involved with all of these things. Is last February, every time I turned on the TV, there was a teenager on a talk show talking about being mercilessly bullied to the point of almost committing suicide.
Right. And some actual suicides. I mean, we do have a tragic epidemic of teenage suicide, one that we have to address. We have to understand the root causes, and clearly we are learning that one of the most important root causes, one of the reasons I wanted to do this as a public health show, is bullying.
Right.
Or being bullied. Being stigmatized, being made to feel different or inferior, because if you're bullied, then you feel as if there's something wrong with you. Understanding that it's really something wrong with the bully, not you, is a critical message to get across. And of course, there's nothing better than to get people who are normal, mainstream bikers, real people, taking this on as a cause and getting the message out that you're okay and we can help you and we can stop this. So thanks for doing it and getting it together. How did you get approached at the school? Your school has a Bikers Against Bullying program, right? You've been visited by them.
Well, if you want to explain what the program is, it's actually...
Okay, let's talk about the program.
It's not a program that's incorporated in schools like the Old VS anti-bullying program or something. It's an approach where they will come and provide a one-time assembly for the school. And I had the privilege of seeing it. Because of my work schedule, they often visit schools during the day, so I'm not able to be as actively involved in that aspect of the Ride and Steel piece as I would like. But I was able to go and watch them do their presentation for one of our elementary schools in district, and Sherry talked about that.
Well, all right, so let's talk about what you do. How does this work?
Well, what happens is that we get together on Facebook, and a lot of times what happens is the children will talk to their parents or the school administration about the bullying problem. They will contact me or Steve or somebody on the Ride and Steel crew and request us to go to their school. So what we do is we hold our fundraisers to raise money, because at these schools what we do is we give out each student one of these shirts.
Oh, isn't that neat? So this shirt says, "Helping schools help kids." What a great, great message. Look at that. Ride and Steel, Bikers Against Bullying. You have to like it.
Well, that's it, you know, and we put one of these shirts on every child's back who is in attendance as a symbol that, you know, when we leave the school, just because we're gone, the message lives on for us. We go there, we present an anti-bullying with Master Brent Creasy from the United Martial Arts Academies. He's a worldwide martial arts champion, and he's been doing the Bully Buster program for well over 20 years.
Oh, marvelous.
And he and I go way back since we were little kids. So we got together, we talked about it with everybody on Facebook. Facebook is a wonderful, wonderful tool when used correctly. And that's how we get our events across to the bikers and people. And the bikers, you talk about bikers. Bikers are normal people like everybody else. We run daycares, we're school principals, we're moms, we're dads, we lawyers, doctors. You know, we're just average, ordinary people who like to, you know, get on the back of a bike and or the front of it.
We're newly elected Maine senators to our national Senate.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, it's just it's a way of life, though. It's you know, kind of like a mini vacation, if you will. So that's what we do. We roar into the schools, and that is the biggest thing, is getting the children's attention.
Sure.
So when you've got 30 Harleys rolling into the school,
Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be just
Harley.
Harleys.
And it doesn't have to be a Harley. I was just going to say that. Doesn't necessarily have to be.
No brand allegiance here.
No, just a motorcycle. And then on, you know, when it's cold out or raining, you don't even have to be in a motorcycle. You know. It's just there to show the support to the children, to show that we care. We really do have their backs. And, you know, we want to make an impression. We want to make a positive impression for them, a positive program for them to remember and to take something away, feeling good about themselves and being empowered.
And I think the shirts are a good idea, because one of the big things when dealing with the bullying is including the students who feel that they're being excluded, the inclusion piece. And by the students having, you know, all wearing the same type shirt, at least for that day while they're there, you know, there's that feeling of inclusivity. They're being included as one of the group, and I think that's
right.
huge.
Well, and we've talked about the person who's being bullied feeling somehow made to feel inferior. We haven't talked about the bully who thinks may be feeling inferior and therefore acts out by bullying, but over the course of time gets looked on as a tough guy, macho. But of course, there are also the students who are the watchers,
The bystanders.
who don't involve
The
themselves.
bystanders,
The bystanders,
yes. Yes.
So what about them? If they're all wearing the same shirt, they are all in the game together.
Absolutely, they're in the game together. And what the program does is it actually shows people what they can do. It explains what they should be doing.
Great.
If you are being bullied, what do you do? If you are a bystander, what do you do?
Great. So we're going to do a little role play here. Pretend you're in the school. Have you done some of these sessions too?
Yes, I've gone with them. I've gone to the last 3 ones. Yeah.
Good. So you all three know how this feels. So what do you tell me if I am being bullied? Just what do I do? What do I say? What are my options? Just bring this alive for parents who are watching, grandparents who are watching, people who have been bullied, who are going to be getting plenty of hope out of this. I mean, we're what used to be a hidden epidemic, where we knew it was there, we didn't talk about it. Schools couldn't talk about it because, of course, it made the school look bad. It was the school's fault. Well, it isn't any of that, of course. So getting rid of the name, blame, shame game and getting into this happens and we need to stop it involves making it normal and saying it happens. And here's what you should say if you are being bullied, or here's what you could do, or here's some of your responses. So what do you tell them?
Well, I think the first thing, I'm going to jump into this, I'm sure before we get into details, is just the fact of telling, the communication piece. Because as a building administrator, the most frustrating part of my job, or piece of my job, is when I hear that nothing's being done. It's very frustrating if you aren't aware that something's being done. So I think the first part is empowering either the student that's being bullied or the family of a child who's being bullied, that the child is, first of all, the child should be communicating with the family. Hopefully they are. That isn't always the case.
Sometimes they're embarrassed.
That isn't always the case. Sometimes they're embarrassed.
I think the big part is that fear.
Yeah.
That fear, the one being bullied, the fear of the bystander. And when the bystander is afraid to say anything, because
the bystander doesn't want to be bullied herself.
Exactly.
The
one that's being bullied.
Or doesn't want to get himself or herself in trouble, or even the bully in trouble. Sure doesn't want to make the bully mad at me. So they may just feel they are not empowered to say something.
Right.
So it's climate. I think you've got to establish a climate where people feel comfortable sharing and being able to communicate. Be it the bystander saying, you know, hey, that's not cool. We don't do that here, or the person being bullied having the comfort level to be able to tell a trusted adult in the building that something's going on. This is in a school. It could be in a daycare. At home.
So I want to come back to that point particularly, but let's just role model for a minute. So what do you say? You're in a school. This is the Bikers program. So you've got the attention of the kids. You've got some messages, some how to deal with this. Here's what you say, just so our viewers can feel comfortable with this as a good, safe, constructive thing to have happen in their school. Maybe they'll even want it in theirs.
Well, the thing that like Todd said, the biggest thing is communication. If you see somebody being bullied, you go and you get an adult. If you don't feel comfortable stepping in and saying that's not cool, or you really shouldn't be doing that, you go and you find a trusted adult quickly, and you bring the adult to stop the incident as it's happening. Those who are standing by, just like if you see something going on, you go find an adult. If you are being bullied, you talk to your parents, you talk to your teachers, you're a trusted adult. It's the same idea. The bullies, some of these children just don't even realize that they're bullies. They just, they're being mean, they're having a bad day at home, or perhaps that's the way they're treated at home.
Well, hurting people hurt people unintentionally, many times unintentionally.
Yeah, but what an important message to get out. And it is critical that no one watching this show think that we are blaming the bully.
No. Absolutely not.
And
absolutely not.
Many times that's where the attention needs to go. Is this bully needs to know that they matter. That they're important in this world, and that they have things to offer, and give them the confidence and security of knowing that, they can do good things for attention, rather than the opposite.
And there's something lacking. I mean, the behavior is occurring because there's something missing, and working with them, communication on that side of it, identifying what is the problem, and what can you do to help assist with that. Now,
although the subject is this program, because it's exciting and it's attention-getting, behind those scenes there's a big statewide concerted effort among teachers and educators and other people responsible for our kids, right, including state legislation on the matter of bullying. Do you want to just talk a little bit about the state of play here? Where are we as a state in doing something about bullying?
You're going to look at me for that one, aren't you?
Well, actually, last year at our dealership, we had a bully event in May, and we're doing it again this year, but we had the Portland Mayor, Michael Brennan, and we had Governor LePage's secretary, and we also had Terry Morrison, who has been trying to pass the bully bill for 3 years, and a couple of months after our event, the bullying bill was passed.
All right, now not all of our viewers know what the bullying bill is, so let's just do the homework here. Which of you wants to do that?
I'll do me to chime first. It's LD 1237.
Did he look at it?
I did look at my notes. I do have my notes.
He knows this.
Only because I want to make sure I put it out accurately. It was passed. It was put into effect in August 30th, I believe, of this year. And where we stand now is it's law. That obviously schools have to address bullying and cyberbullying, because it does include cyberbullying as well. Where we stand with it right now is the Department of Education, the Commissioner of Education are drafting a policy that will be presented to all school districts. That has to be done by in January, early January. And then what school districts will do is they'll take that draft policy and they will incorporate it into existing school policy through their board. Most, if not all, schools currently do have bullying policies on the books.
So what this will do will be to raise the level, make them consistent and fair across the state.
It's a consistency thing, and it kind of opens the umbrella, if you will, for what falls under the characteristics of bullying, because you really have three areas now. You have harassment, which is civil rights violations, which are clearly identified. You have power struggles, where it's trash talk, it's things like that, which are a balance of power. And then you have bullying, which could be anything from social economic status to physical appearance, things like that don't fall under your civil rights, but are an imbalance of power. that are now identified. So it's really kind of opened the umbrella for that. And in the past, we'd always treated bullying as a thing that was repeated behavior. Now a single occurrence of one of those things is considered bullying, which would include documentation and investigation. And it really focuses on documentation by the building staff to school superintendents. And it also encourages ongoing professional development training for staff and students. And in the past, we know that it's there, but it's really striving to get consistency.
When you say ongoing education, are there good education programs about bullying for the teachers out there?
Well, there are, and I'm not knocking state government, but it encourages ongoing professional development without the financial support.
There is that
to
problem,
do that.
isn't there? No, it's not that's just declaring a financial reality. We all know it's there. And
so
I've worked in government many years as a public health person, and I've always felt bad that we didn't have more resources to put into important priorities like this. So I'm sure.
So I mean, there are things that districts will be able to do. We do surveys in my school climate. That's one of the big things they say. Climate surveys. Get feedback from the people that you're working with, your population, and not only take the data but utilize it. Identify areas that things are occurring. Identify where the need is to address. And so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of monitoring, but it's very important work.
All teachers, not just some teachers, all teachers, because any teacher may come across a bullying episode. All teachers need these skills.
It has to be consistent, and it expands beyond just teachers. It's custodians, it's bus drivers, it's cafeteria workers, it's coaches. So it has to be consistent across the board, and some people just don't have the training to address that. You can't just tell people to do it. You can't give them one dose of a presentation. It is ongoing training, which is going to be a little challenging, but it's something that has to happen.
Now there's some real concerns, of course, in school, particularly among school administrators like yourself. I mean, you do know that it's an uncomfortable situation when you're trying to restrict people's movements, when you accuse someone of being a bully.
You have to do due process. I mean, there's always two sides to every story.
Right, due process, a critical component
it's
of all
huge,
this.
and you have to give. It takes time.
Yep.
to deal with it and then determine where is it in fact bullying, and if it is, the course of action, because there are many ways that you can deal with a bullying issue. It doesn't have to be just the immediate disciplinary thing, which can be very visible. There's counseling. There's a variety of things that can come into play.
One of the comments I do get back from our viewers is they'd like tools to know what they can do. So what can the citizens of Saginaw County do, or any county in the state? This is a statewide program, and our programs get viewed because they can be rebroadcast from BCTV 14 anywhere in the state. I hope this one does and gets widely viewed. What can a viewer do about bullying?
Well, it depends. I mean, that's such a general question.
I want to be general because I want you to just talk about action. Give people some tools here. What's in the toolkit?
All right. So I'm a parent. I want to know what I should do if my child is being bullied
That's
at
right.
school.
So you're watching this program, and so far you've heard "Ain't It Awful," and you know that bikers are going into schools and getting good, cool messages that bullying is not cool. Great. But what can I do?
What can you do? Well, if you're a parent and your child comes home to you and is talking about being harassed or being bullied, the first thing you need to do is talk to your child, get the information that you need, you get details. Is it really bullying? Is it teasing? Is he just having a bad day? Is he being sensitive that day? What
a great conversation. I mean, we've talked about schools, we've talked about the home, but there's a whole lot more going on out there, isn't there, Betty? Let's get into the community. What else are we doing?
Well, like I said, back in February when I saw all of this happening on the shows, I was actually introduced to a friend of mine who had a radio station out in Connecticut. And she had just interviewed Cassidy McMillan, who did the film Rats and Bullies. And I just knew that I needed to get her into the state of Maine. And it is those connections. It's people are put into our paths for a reason. And for us not to act on those promptings is really sad, because we do have the ability to make a difference. One person can make a difference. It just takes that acting upon what's been done. So basically, when somebody comes into your life or somebody says, I know this person who is working in the bullying field. You know, Jimmy Buffett's band with Jim Mayer is putting a program out there called I Am For You. Those types of programs are the programs that schools need. So it's getting the information and sharing it with as many people as you can. Not just school departments, but people that are on Facebook, your friends, and saying this is what's going on in the community. These people are stepping up and we need to share their information.
So you can, have you created some community events? I mean, what
Yes.
else has happened besides going into the school?
Well, there are people out there like Shannon Seelig, who is, since she's been 9 years old, has been wanting to change the world with her voice, and she and Jim Mayer got together and wrote a song based on 2 girls that were 10 years old and committed suicide. And so those feelings of we need to reach out, people need to know there's help out there, that they matter. And so getting the having her come up to Maine here on Black Friday down in the Old Port, raising money for keeping kids safe, who can go into the schools and give these programs to these children that are totally in the dark about some of the things that they're doing on Facebook.
Other community efforts that we need to be sure out on the table here?
Oh, absolutely. There's been a couple of things that we've done. We've done the Strikeout Bullying Bowl-a-thon. We brought the kids in together to, we get teams together, we've raised money, we've had fun all at the same time, and then we put together a family fun day at the Augusta Elks, where it was a free day for the entire community to come up and just have a blast. We had petting zoos and carnival games, and we had clowns and free food, and Darling's Ice Cream for a Cause came up and handed out ice cream. And
now we're talking.
So I mean, we had so many things going on. We had entertainment. We had Jason, our superstar White Shadow Gibbons, come up, and we had the Veo twins performed. Carter Isaac performed. We had Amanda McCarthy came in all the way from New Hampshire to perform. And it was just one of those days that it's just a really fun day for the entire family.
Well, I hope our viewers are getting some inspiration about things that they could do in their own community to raise the level of awareness and then bring in the serious message, but have fun doing it.
Right.
Inspire people to be kind may be the last words you want people to hear from you, but just in case there's another takeaway, what's your take home here about bullying and what we need to be doing about it?
It's really focusing on the positive. When you can create a positive environment, then that doesn't happen. People feel good. Make it a win-win situation. I do something nice for somebody, they in turn do something nice for someone else. It's just one of those things that it's so simple. It's the simplicity of it all.
If there's ever going to be a culture change, you're going to be right at the front of it. Thank you. That was just great.
Thank you.
Todd?
Education.
I go back
as
a true educator, of course you're going to believe in that. You do. You live it.
And just reinforcing, the way that we want students to behave, and providing the education for the bystanders, providing the education for those that work with students. It's a learning process. It takes time to change behavior. And you have to be consistent with it.
Well, Sherry, you're the anchor here, but you obviously aren't dragging us down.
No, I hope not. I think I'm just going to piggyback on Betty and Todd a little bit. I truly believe it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child, and it all starts at home as well. Teach your children the golden rule, talk to your children, listen to your children, and just if there's something going on with them, do something about it.
Great takeaway message, which is really my takeaway message to you, isn't it? It does take a village. This is all about all of us recognizing that we have to change our culture. We can't tolerate and sit back and allow bullying. We can't say, I can't do anything about it, it's somebody else's problem. We can't even say we don't see it, therefore it's not there. We know it's there. It's there in your home, in your neighbor's home, in the home of the people you love and care about, and you can do something about it. You just saw people who are, and I can't thank them enough for doing it, and I can't thank you enough for watching Public Health NU and being part of the community's solution. Public Health NU, after all, begins and ends with you. So thank you for viewing. This is Hugh Tilson, your Saginaw County Health Officer, wishing you well.